This is TB Talks and BS Walks. Join the conversation or the BS. Here are the masterminds behind the microphone, Tyler and Brian.
Good evening, everybody. It is evening. As a matter of fact, it is 8:40 p.m. my time in the evening on Saturday. Is it Saturday? Yes, it is Saturday. Yes. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. By the way, welcome to the show. TB Talks and BS Walks. Tyler, as always, with me is Brian. Brian, how was your Thanksgiving, bud?
Lots of food. Still full.
Did you wear your pants loose by one button to make room for expansion?
No, I didn't. I couldn't really go the full length that I normally do because I had work that evening and I didn't want to be too sick.
Understand how that goes, man. I understand. I had a good time. I have a big family, so we had more than one dinner. It seemed like you eat, and then 2 hours later you have to eat again. But that's part of it. That is what happens. That is what happens when you have a big family. Did you get the Black Friday shop by chance?
I did online on Xbox. I did not go to any store. I did not leave the house. I don't like Black Friday.
Well, I know you've worked some retail before, and Black Friday is a nightmare. What did you end up? What purchases did you make on the Xbox? I know you picked up Gears 4.
Both my wife and I kind of walked away with a bid. Actually, my wife picked up Morrowind.
Okay.
Lost Odyssey, and what was the other one? She had 3 or 4 different games she got actually. Saints Row 4 Reelected with Get Out of Hell and. What was the other one? Ori, I think was the other one. So she got those, and most of those were like $5. She spent like $50 on games. Got 4 for the price of, one.
There you go.
And then I got the Morrowind expansion. I got Gears of War 4. I got, what was the other one? I got the BioShock collection.
Okay.
I think that's all I got. I'm not sure. I may have got another one in there somewhere. Trying to remember.
I'm glad you picked up Gears of War 4. I've waited long enough for you to get it, so I'll have to do some streaming to the podcast gaming channel for that one.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going through the series, so we're definitely going to hit that. Well, we'll probably play it before it actually gets streamed.
Yeah,
Just so I know what I'm doing, but yeah.
We did get out for Black Friday. We actually got out Thursday evening and met up with some friends at Walmart and got everybody's done. We got everybody's done that we needed to get done for right around. I set a budget and I said, I didn't want to spend any more than about $300, and I think it was like $377 after tax. So pretty happy. We didn't go much over, and we got everybody's done in one shot. So, however, the mass hysteria was crazy. I don't miss working in that environment at all. I've worked at Walmart during Black Friday. Worked at GameStop for 1 year for Christmas time. I worked at Toys R Us for 1 year during Christmas time, and it was absolutely crazy. You can't go down the middle of the store. They have everything blocked off, so you have to go around the outside edge all the way over. As you come in the door, you have to go all the way over to grocery, go all the way down the wall towards the back, and then to get into electronics, they were letting in 4 people at a time. So they were it really, I guess, supposed to cut down on stuff getting broke or people trying to fight. People fighting over stuff. So, but there was a police officer at every corner of the store. So.
Oh, wow.
But all in all, we got in and out in probably a little under 2 hours, so it wasn't bad.
Yeah, not really. For Black Friday, not at all.
It wasn't bad. But For myself, I picked up Assassin's Creed Origins and Destiny 2. Those were $30 a piece. Yeah, so yeah. I got 2 AAA titles for the price of 1, so not too bad there. But I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving and a not too crazy Black Friday. Hope you all enjoyed your time with your friends and family. Moving on into the holiday season now, the Christmas music on the radio. It is the most wonderful time of the year. Yep. We have the tree up here. I have a little tree for the kids. And then Brittany put our tree up. So it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas time in the house, which it is my favorite time of the year. The only thing that's missing is the weather. It's like 65 degrees.
Yeah.
Which is insane for, yeah. But, anyways, moving on. You had a little bit of discussion that you wanted to cover, I believe, regarding President Trump, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes. But we touched on it a little bit last week, which was the UCLA players that got out of prison in China.
For stealing a pair of Louis Vuitton sunglasses.
Yes. Yeah. And they were brought back to the States. Now the big thing is everybody's upset about Trump asking for a thank you, and that's fine. I mean, like I said in the last one, I was raised, that's just common courtesy. You just say thank you. I know he's trying to point out that, between him and sports, I guess everywhere, everybody's having a problem with him. That's fine. My issue came when one of the UCLA players got on a news station and just started blasting Trump. Now, you don't have to thank him. That is fine. But you're not really going to take a moral high ground on that. Like, there's no moral high ground of not thanking Trump for you getting out of prison time that you deserve. Like, you robbed a store in another country, and their laws dictate you're supposed to be in prison for 10 years. He gets you out of prison, and you come back to the States and think you're going to go on a moral high ground about how you're not going to thank Trump because he's racist or whatever. It falls flat to me. I really don't. Like, if you'd have just never got on the news, never said anything, I'd have had more respect. But to go out of your way,
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I know when we covered it last week, I voiced my opinion as to how that I was upset at the fact that Trump was pretty much asking for a thank you just to boost his ego. However, I hope nobody took it the wrong way, that I didn't think that those gentlemen deserved to be, to have some kind of punishment. I believe, knowledge is 9/10 of the law, and as they say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. But, you have collegiate athletes, okay? And you are, you were sent there on a scholarship to play basketball. So, you're representing that school everywhere you go, whether it be, out to eat with family, whether it be overseas to China. You're a constant representation of that school, and I believe that how that you reflect that, it is crucial, and that's going to be crucial to your success, especially if you're an athlete. So I hope that nobody took that as I didn't think that these guys deserved to be punished. I absolutely do. I just, I was just upset because I don't think that President Trump should have said what he said on Twitter. Yes, we all know that, sure, any person who has any morals at all or who is raised with any kind of manners and decency, something like that happens, a thank you is probably in order. But that would be like me saying, I went and took something from your house. Like, let's say that I came into your house when you weren't home and I stole something from you. And, you find out that I stole something from you, and instead of calling the police, you say, hey, bring my stuff back, and we'll call it good. Return my stuff, and we'll call it good. Okay, so, yeah, I should apologize to you and say, hey, I'm sorry for stealing your shit, and I shouldn't have done that, and,
Right.
I'm sorry. But, and then you taking to Twitter and all forms of social media, putting me on blast saying, hey, he should thank me because I didn't call the cops on him because I kept him out of jail. It's one of those things where that would be like something just to make you look good and to make me look bad.
Right.
And that's, and I, obviously you and I both know that, yeah, hey, that was, not right. And so that's what I meant by that, But no, I definitely think that there's some kind of punishment.
Yeah, but following that, you avoided punishment. If we follow that example, you avoided punishment. I made sure that you didn't go to jail or anything. Yeah, I put you on blast. But then what moral high ground do you really have to get on there and try to talk down to me when I didn't do anything? Like, I didn't steal from you and everything else. People are just going to, it's just going to cement people looking bad on you. They're going to look bad on me too, but you're not gaining anything by that. If you just say nothing at all, people tend to question the truth, A lot of times when somebody says something about somebody else and that person has no response and doesn't do anything, there's two opinions that come up. There's either he did it and he just doesn't feel like he can defend it, or he didn't do it and I have to question the honesty of this person here. We already question the honesty of Trump. That's already in question. Most people, don't.
As sad as that is, yeah.
I know.
No, it's true. As sad as it is, but it's true.
But then, when you get on there and you start yelling at him for stuff, well, everybody's going to look, well, you did steal that. Like, you did actually steal that, and technically, if he hadn't have done anything, you'd be stuck in prison for 10 years or however long because you stole something in a different country. Like, is it so much to just come back and just stay quiet? Go play your game. Right. Hopefully you don't lose that. Like, people lose scholarships over this. Did he lose his scholarship? I did not hear. If he still has his scholarship and got away with robbery, then...
Yeah, I did not hear
really,
that
that's just a win.
Well, that's like Dorial Green Beckham, who went to Mizzou. He was a graduate of Hillcrest High School, which is in Springfield, Missouri, which is, 35 minutes from me, and was the number one prospect in the country, in high school. So he gets drafted, like every Division I school in the country wanted this kid. And he finally narrowed it down to three choices. I believe it was Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas, I believe, were the three. And after going back and forth, he decided to go play for Mizzou. He wanted to keep it in his home state, and so we were all excited about it. The kid has unbelievable talent. Being the number one prospect in the country is a huge deal. So he goes to Mizzou, gets a starting position, and had a couple of instances. I don't recall in what exact order. I'd have to look it up. But he had one instance of smoking marijuana in the stadium parking lot that he was caught doing. He had one instance of, I want to say, some kind of assault on somebody. And he got a couple of chances. Well, then on the third strike, they revoked his scholarship. So then he went to Oklahoma and was never the same after that. I believe he entered the draft and got drafted. Doesn't start. So, eventually they did revoke his scholarship. Which I think obviously robbery is no different. Especially if you're committing a crime, Now, a lot of people may argue the fact that, okay, well, this was a totally different circumstance because, smoking a little bit of marijuana on school grounds and stealing a pair of sunglasses is two totally different ends of the spectrum. And that's a yes and no kind of thing. For all of those marijuana supporters out there, no, weed is not a huge thing, but it's still illegal here. So, illegal is illegal. It doesn't matter if it's robbery, if it's smoking a little marijuana, There again, it's back to what I said about you are held to a higher standard because you're representing that school. And don't even get me started, in college, you're not getting paid. But when you get to the pros, I don't even want to get started on what I think about, how much that athletes are overpaid. But it's, but I haven't heard if these guys lost their scholarship or not. To my knowledge, they haven't. The Pac-12 director, I apologize, as I said before, but I don't think that they took any kind of retaliation against these gentlemen. So, but if I find out more between now and our next show, I'll update you on that.
Yeah. Well, to me, it just sounds like they're one out. They got out of prison. A Chinese prison, no less, which they aren't exactly the friendliest. They got out of a Chinese prison. They kept their scholarship. And then they come back with an attitude. And you kind of win. They're not really being punished.
Well, man, our justice system is so messed up anyways. My dad has a friend who's in jail and for a crime he didn't commit. And I know this guy. I've known him my whole life. And I'm not going to go into detail, and he will remain anonymous. But he and his wife got a divorce, and his wife kind of threw him under the bus and made all these accusations of things that he did with their daughter. And, just asinine stuff. And, this guy, I played in a bluegrass gospel band with this gentleman. And but anyways, they ended up, he went to prison, and I think he got sentenced to 27 years or something like that. And a gentleman that committed first degree murder got in there after this guy that I'm referring to went in, and he's already out. And he committed first degree murder. So what that's saying is that you can kill somebody and, still get out in, 15 years. They say 25 years is a life sentence. But, our justice system is messed up anyways. Craig Wood, who is the former school employee who kidnapped, raped, and killed a little 10-year-old girl here in Springfield, has been in jail for 3 to 4 years, and they just now had his trial, and the prosecutors were recommending the death penalty. And so they went to the trial. The trial was, I think, a week long, and it took the jury less than 2 hours to come back with a guilty verdict of first-degree murder. However, they could not agree on sentencing. So, as I said, the hearing went for a week, and the 12 jurors deliberated for less than 2 hours and said, yes, he is guilty of first-degree murder, kidnap, rape, all of the above. And he admitted to that. And so then the following week, when it came time to sentence, they could not agree unanimously on either the death penalty or life in prison without parole. And which I find is absolutely absurd, because as a parent, I cannot imagine something like that happening to one of my kids. And just between you and me, there wouldn't need to be any kind of a court hearing, because I'd just kill him myself. You know what I mean? And that's, and that's, so But as a parent, you just can't imagine something like that happening. And then, obviously, you're going to want justice. And I think,
Yep.
if you do something to somebody, you should have that exact same thing done to you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's So now it's up to the judge to sentence this guy. And they said it could be as early as January. But, either way, if he gets life in prison without parole, or if he gets the death penalty, our tax dollars are still going to pay for this guy for the next 20 years. Because the death penalty, they sit on death row for 20 years before they ever get executed. Which our tax dollars are paying for 3 meals a day and life probably better than most have here on the outside, cable television. I mean, there's people that have been to jail, been to prison, they get out and they commit a crime just to then go right back in because it's easy for them in there. They have everything. They don't have bills, so
don't know how to function out here.
Right. But yeah, it just goes back to what you're talking about. It just it's I don't know. I didn't mean to get off on that rampage. Sorry.
No.
We were you're already making my blood boil within 10 minutes of the podcast.
I know.
So, I had to.
I will say this. I'm glad they're back. I'm glad he got them out of there. Like I said, Chinese prisons aren't known to be the friendliest. So I am glad they're
I sure
back.
would want to go.
But, it's just, it seems more and more it's how people handle these situations that anger me more than where their stance on it. Like, if you don't want to say thank you to Trump, fine. That's your prerogative. You don't have to. But you cannot take a moral high ground on something when you were in prison for robbery. Like,
right.
And the same thing, the same kind of mindset kind of applies to the whole kneeling for the national anthem. I've said it plenty of times. I don't know if I said it when we did the whole podcast on that, but, I am fine with you having something to protest. I am fine with you protesting. But choosing what to protest kind of decides how people are going to react to that. If you're going to take something that's supposed to unify the country and kneel at that, you aren't thinking things through. Like, if you just decided not to play, there's fantasy football leagues, there's all this kind of stuff that people have based on you playing the game. And if you stood for the anthem and then went back and sat on the bench and didn't play the game because you were against how cops were treating blacks, that would make a bigger statement. A lot of people were mad because this guy he kneeled, Kaepernick or whatever, he kneeled, and then he went and made another $1 million for playing a game. Like, how is he actually hurting, or how is he actually making a statement except that he doesn't like America in general? Like, if he just didn't play the game, he's affecting people's fantasy football leagues, which oddly enough mean more to people than what you'd think. He would be making a serious statement, because eventually, if the whole team sits out, I think that people would start wondering what's going on. They'd pay a little bit more attention than immediately offending everybody in the stadium. So I'm not against the protest. I'm not against what they're trying to say. I'm against how the thought process works. Like, how did they think this was going to be positive?
Man, I don't know. I have no hope for humanity most of the time. So, I hope you guys liked the.
On a lighter note.
Yeah, I hope you guys liked the Would You Rather questions that we played last time. I do have a few more of those. These are not nearly as vulgar and insane as the last ones were.
Did you put them through a vetting process this time?
I did.
Well, that's nice.
I did.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Although it was probably a good listen.
I'm sure it was hilarious.
Once we got the show edited, I actually went back and listened, and had forgotten some of the ones that I asked. So I did kind of skim through some of these. So,
All
and
right.
this is the first time. This is the first time that I've really read them. So,
All right.
my
Hear
answers
that,
are going to
Mom? You
be
might
off the
actually
cuff
be able to
also.
listen to this one. That's great.
So let's get into some of those. Let's do a couple of these.
Yeah, okay.
The first one I have for you is: would you rather lose all of your money and valuables, or all of the pictures you've ever taken?
Ooh. See, that one's tough because my memory is crap. Hmm.
My answer is I would rather lose the pictures because, there are things in my memory that I'll never forget. Now, I have a terrible memory.
Yeah.
Short-term memory is awful. Like, if you tell me, hey, don't forget my debit card when you leave the house today, 9 times out of 10, I'll forget it. But, if I can tell you, hey, do you remember that time that Dad and I, did this when I was 10 years old? Absolutely. So for me, I think I'd rather lose the pictures because, you can't live without money.
Yeah,
So,
well, I might have to agree there just because I have my family to think of. That's a tough one. It's like my wife loves to take pictures, and she loves the pictures she has, and we have plenty of family and all that. But yeah, I'd rather lose the pictures if I can still provide for my family. Like money, I would rather keep to provide. The valuables I can lose and regain. Like, can I meet you midway with this one? Can we lose the pictures and valuables and keep the money so I can provide for my family? Can we do that?
yeah, I'll accept that. Yeah, I'll accept that. That's okay. Would you rather be able to see 10 minutes into your own future or 10 minutes into the future of anyone but yourself?
We kind of went Smallville / Nicolas Cage movie that I can't remember the name of.
10 minutes isn't a lot of time, but if you could constantly see 10 minutes ahead, whether it would be in your own life or someone else's, which one would you choose?
Probably somebody else's. Just because then you can
So you would
help
know
prevent
what they were
things
going
or
to do.
help with things. Yeah. Because in my own
What
life, I
about
don't
preventing?
care what's going to happen in
Yeah.
the next 10 minutes for me, but knowing what my son's going to do in the next 10 minutes might be helpful.
What if you knew that in the next 10 minutes a 747 jet was going to crash into your house? You might want to know that.
Hey, but that'd be affecting my wife and my son. I'd figure that one out. Be more like, what if I was going to get in a wreck on my way to work, because that is a 10-minute drive. That would actually only affect me. And really, people have lived through wrecks.
Yep, I've been in a couple. I don't know. I think I'd rather be able to see in my own future because I've made a lot of dumb decisions in my life. So maybe if I could see 10 minutes into, hey, if I make this decision, this is what's going to happen. Maybe I wouldn't have done some of those things. So I'd say I'd rather look into my own future. But that's a close one. That is a close one. This is on the subject of what we covered just a few minutes ago. Would you rather go to jail for 4 years for something you didn't do, or get away with something horrible that you did but always live in fear of being caught?
Oh, geez. Does nobody remember what it was like being a teenager? Gee, I don't know.
But 4 years for being completely innocent.
This question isn't necessarily fair because it implies that you won't get caught. You just have the knowledge and you fear you might get caught. So,
Well,
I don't
well,
know.
let's say that you don't know if you're going to get caught or not. I mean, let's leave it as an open-ended question. You know, you're in fear of being caught,
You know,
but you
I
don't
always make a big
know if you
deal
are or you're
of
not.
right. I always make a big deal about consequences for our actions. That I believe that's kind of the biggest thing that's messing with our society right now is people are all whiny and everything because they actually haven't been held accountable for their actions. I think that's one of our biggest problems. So, in light and understanding of that, I think I would take the 4 years. Just because then I would at least have the backup. Like, okay, you know what? I did something wrong and I paid for it. I expect everybody else to as well. Otherwise, you get away with it. Yeah, you're scared you get caught, but I mean, then what value do my words hold at that point too? Tough one.
I mean, that comes down
down,
to
Brian, all serious and everything. Why couldn't you just answer it like a normal person? Jeez. Sorry.
well, I think that is I mean, I think that's fair, and that answer is fair, because that's a tough question, because you as someone who has who is prides himself on their integrity, I wouldn't want to be locked up in jail for 4 years for something I didn't do. Yeah. However, doing something awful, I mean, I wouldn't want to do either. So,
yeah, it's a tough one.
I guess
I didn't take into account that I actually didn't do it, so that's a tough one.
Well, I guess for moral reasons, I guess I would take the 4 years. Although, I mean, it would be completely awful.
I'd probably fight it all 4 years.
Well, it might take you 4 years to get to a resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how long that, it takes for trials to happen.
Oh, yeah.
So, there was a, kind of off topic here, but there was a murder that happened here in my county on Christmas morning in 2006, I believe. And it is just now going back to trial because there is new evidence that has just been brought to surface. And so now they're going back to retry this individual because he may be innocent. So it takes a long time to fight anything. Yeah, so you may be spending that 4 years fighting, and that may be how long it takes.